Okay, so good morning everyone. So I'm Julien and I'm going to start this little talk with you. So first of all, because I'm a little bit curious, does anyone here already hear sound or inexplicable noises somewhere you're supposed to be alone? It's pretty much up to you to answer, but my question maybe could be, if you already heard that kind of sound, did you try to communicate with them? Today, for a large part of people, this kind of thing sounds irrational or maybe impossible, but you have to know that during the 19th centuries, people believe into these voices. They believe in spirits, they believe in afterlife, have a new system of communication. So today, I want to show you one of my projects called Vocal Code of the Spirits, which is linked to that. Because during the exhibition show of this project, a lot of people heard voices. So I want to share with you different steps of this project. So I get into this topic when I was during my second year of my master program in Switzerland. First of all, my first idea was like completely annoying and bored. And one of my teachers told me like, you don't have something else, like something sexy, something unusual. Maybe at least if you have nothing to show today, you can talk about the nothingness, the emptiness, or maybe ghost. And I was so frustrated by what he just said that I was like, okay, I'm going to find something to say about ghosts and design, which actually I didn't have any idea of that. So this is how everything starts, and I was looking for what we call the Modern Spiritualism. So just to talk a little bit about this, so this is my thesis called Around the Table and Beyond. The modern spiritualist, is a practice that starts in Hydesville, in the United States, because two sisters, Maggie and Kate Fox, would have begun to talk with the spirits, to communicate with him, called Mr. Splitfoot. And they start to communicate with him, and since this, now everybody knows this famous question, spirits, are you here? So slowly, during this transformation, the spirits would have answered by sound, like 1, to say no, and 2, to say yes. So this is the beginning of a new language to talk between those two kind of entities. And during the 19th century, talking with the dead has been treated as a real questioning about disembodiment communication. And this is how I was really interested about this. I was like, today, can I be also able to exchange with them? Can I get inspired by the devices and all those stories and maybe design my own system of communication with the spirits? And when I began researching for this project, I quickly realized that this innovation of the communication from this century, such as the telegraph, the phonograph, or even the radio, were included into this communication and changed this practice. Because slowly I understand that those objects were kind of starting points between the spirits and also the living. And in this way, spirits could be everywhere. But I was like, okay, they used the innovation from this century to serve their own practice, but did they try to have their own device to talk with the spirits, to set the séance? And yes, my answer is yes. Medium, psychic, and even believers start to become designers when they design some devices to amplify the system of communication. So first devices that everybody knows is the table. They try to find light wood and that kind of things and different shape for the table. And they have like two different kind of table. The first one is supposed to be the talking table. So she's supposed to produce sound when you recite the alphabet out loud and just pick up one letter until building up a message. And slowly we discover the moving table. So this one is supposed to move into the space during the séance So it's quite funny to see different tables that they use and also why they use kind of daily objects for this communication. And slowly they were like, okay, we have tables, but it could be also interesting to have kind of mediumistic object to use with that. So the first one is like the Jardin table. So on the top, as you can see, you have like the alphabet, which is engraved, and in the middle you have a needle, which is supposed to be moved by the spirits to show different messages. As they were really into that kind of looking for this immediacy, but also they want to be mobile and to go everywhere and to speak with the spirits, they start to design talking board. So the most famous one is the Ouija board that everybody knows. And as you can see, you have like different kind of those talking boards. Like they were really into looking for the good shape, the good materials, maybe the good mechanism. So what could happen if they use more needles during the seance, for example, for this one? Or maybe if they use like different mechanism, just springs, that could help them to have like more information in a short time or something like this. So they were really into this idea that they have to rationalize this materialization of spirits and to make it effective. So the funny fact also is that the Ouija table has been the first mediumistic object to be industrialized in series at that time, as it would be something really useful for people and they were really asking for that. So I was really fascinated by this embodiment communication, but all those objects are related to the writing of message. And I was like, maybe there is one device or object that could be able to perform acoustic phenomena. And I found one, which is the spirit trumpet. So basically, the spirit trumpet, as Arthur Conan Doyle described it, is supposed to be a metallic conical body which levitates by itself during the seance and producing sound, voices, or weird melody from the other world. So the thing is, which is quite funny, it's like we have a lot of description about this, we have a lot of picture, but we don't have any record about the sound. So I knew this object would be the starting point of my project because this missing data is pretty much my playground. It allowed me to speculate about something and just to give my own illustration of the sound as a point of view of designer. So today, I think we're still really exciting and interesting about what could be beyond the grave. You just have to take a look about cinema and TV show, for example, the movie Ouija or the show Penny Dreadful or even the latest show on Netflix called The Away, they're looking for an afterlife. So thanks to that, I'm like, okay, maybe the spiritualist practice is still present today and has evolved in a way thanks to the different medium we have today. So maybe I can use a spirit trumpet. What could happen if I want to design one? How could it work? What kind of sound would be produced and what kind of effect could happen between the space and the people? So here is a little video about my project that I want to show you. this allowed me to speculate about an irrational and disembodied system of communication. And through mixing, processing, and recording soundtrack, this slowly creates ghostly electronic voices phenomena. So suddenly I was able, kind of, to resuscitate the sound of this trumpet. So for this project, I get inspired by the instrumental trance communication, which is supposed to be the modernist way today to talk with the spirits. And that means I use frequency, pretty much, in soundtrack, and I play it again and again. So here it is, for example, so the first structure. And with this structure, each soundtrack is played and recorded again in situ on an electronic devices connected to an Arduino, connected also to speakers and to a recorder. But the thing is, like, all this audio system is moving in a circular way on the metal structure. And in the meantime, on this space, it's playing again and recording again new kind of sound because the sound is changing to each rotation. So with all this motion, the sound seems to evolve in something new and completely strange. Because of how the trumpet is shaped, pretty much, which is inspired by the graphic representation of the sound that you have on the software, the frequency sound gets disturbed. So what it's put on the space is completely different, and slowly you can just experiment this phenomenon of electronic voices. So first of all, in the space you have the black trumpet, so it's spinning around and just making some voices in the space. And secondly, on the back there is like another little structure, a white one, which is more like an experimentation about microarchitecture. So you go inside and the entire structure just disturb your perception of the space, but also of the sound. So today maybe we can talk a little bit about the process. So I'm a messy guy, you can see it right now. And I start to design basic trumpets thanks to all the description I had and all the stuff I read. And I started to record the sound that could be produced. But I was like, okay, maybe I can try to find a movement and to play in the space. So I hang this from the ceiling and I start to make some little test about it. And slowly I was like, okay, so maybe the echoes could be performed by different materials. So there is blow glass, clay, cardboard, metal, and I try again and again until find something that could be really interesting and relevant for my practice. So here are different other tries, and you can already see that I'm really interested into this graphic representation of the sound because I try to make modes and to play with that. So here's, for example, another mode. And also I wanted to use plastic because I was a student and it's not really expensive. So I was like, maybe I can produce my own plastic, but it was like a complete mess. So at the end, I just find an agency and they use like a vacuum machine. So I just have to make my own modes and they're going to make the trumpets. So here's the first try, the small one. And here's like the picture of how I try to finish the final one, which is pretty much 5 meters long or something like that. So here we are. Yeah, so as you understand, the sound is pretty much one of the other starting point of my project because I invite people to a special experience. But I was like, okay, you create sound structure, but how people will get your story, how they won't be disturbed by something else. So I have to think about the space. And I was like, maybe spiritist people from the 19th century think about that space before me. So I make some research and I found something called the spirit room. It's pretty much like a room devoted to those communication, and it's supposed to work like a psychic or mediumistic receptacle for this. And there is one example, which is really famous, called the Winchester House. And I just want to talk a little bit about this because it's kind of crazy what people can do when they believe in something. And it's really inspired me. So Winchester House, because of Sarah Winchester. So she was a widow and she was the only heiress of the Winchester Ripening Arm Company. Maybe you know about the rifle. So the legend said that to console a grief, she went in Boston to meet a medium because she wanted to talk with her husband. But the thing is, she was also witness of weird phenomena, and she explained that to him. And this guy told her that she was persecuted by the spirits of the Indian defeated by the rifle during the war, and they wanted to get revenge against her family, so she wanted her dead. But the only way for her to survive is to go in Indian territory and to build an entire house to trap the spirits inside. So this is the house. And this is something really interesting, so because in the middle of this house you have the spirit room, and inside the space she can talk with her husband, but the rest of the house is built and designed as a labyrinth, so you don't make the difference between the inside or the outside of the house, and everything is made up to lose you. So for example, you have that kind of stairs to lead up to the ceiling, but you have no other way to go away, or you have doors that just open on walls, that kind of thing, or that kind of stairs that you can definitely not use to go upstairs. Also doors to go nowhere on the facade, and you just fall. So it's kind of crazy. For example, here you have like a stairs to go down, but directly go up, but you cannot go everywhere. So because of for example, you have also door on the floor, but also on the ceiling, and even windows. So it's kind of crazy. So yeah, she was really paranoid, and after 40 years, there is like 40 rooms, 6 kitchens, 12 bathrooms, 467 doors, and 10,000 windows. And the thing is, you can visit this house because it's in Los Angeles. So guys, if you want to have a great entertainment, it could be interesting. So I was like, okay, this story allowed me to, as a designer, to consider the space maybe as a tool into this communication, not only just something you go inside. Maybe I can use the acoustic skills of a space. So I was looking for different space to go. First of all, like churches or warm houses, but it was too much complicated for me to put my stuff inside and to set everything. So I was like, maybe the easy way for me is to build my own space. So I get inspired by those kind of architecture. So it's like the Philips Pavilion by Le Corbusier, or the theater, or even the sound mirror that's used by the Russian. And slowly I start to design my own space for the exhibition show. So here's the black trumpet, and on the back the little chamber. And the thing, so was the space where I was to build the thing. So just to show you different pictures, also the process, because I had only 5 days to build everything. So a big thank you to all my friends to come to help me. So here it is. And it's 3 meters high. And the thing is, at the end, having a space like this was also a way for me to control the behavior of people. So I forced them in a way to run around this structure, but they didn't have enough space between the structure and the wall to look at it. So they have to stuck into the wall and to just listen the sound, because if you stay really longer in the space, slowly you're going to hear those voices, you're going to hear whisper, which is kind of creepy. So yeah, this is how pretty much everything just work. So you had me a question when I applied for this, like how beyond I went in my work. So this is like one of the first steps, and one of my future projects, I'm going to work with a sound engineer because I want to sing a siren again. This is kind of crazy, like the monster from the myth. So it's going to be something pretty much as fucked up as this. But you can go on my website if you want to see some of these pictures. So here it is.